curse is this?
An innocent girl. It is a curse called up from hell, possessed by the powers of darkness.
You're not afraid of me, are you?
This winter,
You must destroy her powers.
nations will collide. Unless one man can raise hell.
Let's finish this.
Oh God. Season of the Witch. Rated PG-13. Starts January 7th.
Yeah, if this movie isn't going to put the time and effort to make a good film, then I'm not going to put the time and effort to put together a regular episode. So, welcome to Time About the Movies. Happy New Year, everybody. We're starting a brand new year off, 2011. And unlike last year, where we actually did have a good horror movie, we have one new movie that comes out. And it's the typical movie that you expect to see on the first weekend of the new year. It's a film that clearly the studio had no intentions on actually marketing to sell to people. They knew they had to put it out this weekend because this was not going to sell on any other weekend, especially the next weekend. But here we have Season of the Witch, which stars Nicolas Cage and Ron Perlman. Two great actors. Unfortunately, they're stuck in a really, really bad movie. The story is that they play two knights who return from the Crusades to find their homeland devastated by the Black Death. The two church elders accuse a young woman, played by Claire Foy, who of course will later go on to star in The Crown and actually had her career start a couple of years ago with Being Human, of being a witch responsible for the plague. They command the two knights to transport her to a distant monastery so the monks can lift the curse. It's directed by Dominic Sena, who worked with Nicolas Cage about 11 years prior on Gone in 60 Seconds, which is funny because that movie came out in 2000, which coincidentally was when this movie started production. This thing had been in development hell for 11 years before it made it to the big screen. It was purchased by MGM, then it got moved over to Columbia, then it got moved over to Relativity Media, who was trying to become their own studio in general, and needless to say, that didn't work out very well for them because they were pretty much out of it. They were pretty much out of the studio business until it's a couple years later. But this is what you'd expect from a bad Nicolas Cage movie. You thought that Kick-Ass and The Sorcerer's Apprentice was a sense that he was returning to form. Nope. This Academy Award-winning actor has gone back to the same place he was in 2007, 2008, 2009, the late 2000s, pretty much. I'll take whatever bad script you give me, and behold, this is the end result of that. Just a terrible movie, a cheap-looking film. A film like this should not have a budget of $40 million because it certainly does not show on the big screen at all. It's just a terrible movie, man. This is just not a good film whatsoever. And again, it's the type of movie you expect Nicolas Cage to make when he's down on his luck. He doesn't have any other movies. He's not getting any good scripts handed to him, which he probably is, but he's taken these ones specifically for no other reason except the fact that, hey, he's getting a nice paycheck out of it. So, really, that's all I got for you on that one. Because, yeah, this movie ain't worth it, really. It's not even worth giving you a full review on it, per se. This might actually be one of the shortest Time About the Movies episodes I'll ever do, because that's it for our show. I mean, literally, we have nothing else to cover about this movie. It's a garbage film. It's the type of film you expect to see to start off the new year. Yeah. Needless to say, avoid this one like the plague.
Newspaper mogul James Reed was found dead, leaving his son in charge of his media empire.
Sorry to hear about your father.
Now that he's gone, I'm thinking I haven't done anything good my whole life.
This city needs our help. We could be heroes. Need a car.
Yes, we will.
Need some weapons.
Yeah.
But no ties.
We will be in IMAX 3D.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the two films of January 14, 2011, and regardless of how bad these movies are going to be today, they certainly are a lot better than the film we looked at last time around, which was about a 6-minute episode. This one, I promise you, will be much longer than that. As we begin with our first movie here, which wasn't really a bad movie, but it was definitely a film that definitely was the literal definition of a come-and-go movie, because it came, it made its money, and then never was mentioned ever again. And that's The Green Hornet, based off, of course, of the classic superhero from the comic book, from the comics. Was it the comics, or was it just the TV show? I think it was just the TV show. Well, no, it was a radio show before it became the TV show. Well, most people remember it from the TV show, but This is, of course, the adaptation of that, starring Seth Rogen as the Green Hornet, a character created by George W. Trendle and Franz Stryker in 1936. Jay Chow stars as his sidekick Tato, alongside Christoph Waltz, Cameron Diaz, Edward James Olmos, David Harbour, and Tom Wilkinson. And in the film, Rogen plays a newspaper publisher's son who, following his father's sudden death, teams up with a martial arts skilled mechanic to become crime-fighting vigilantes, attracting the attention of a Russian mobster played by Christoph Waltz. Here's how much I don't remember this movie. I 100% completely forgot this was directed by Michel Gondry, the same man that gave us The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, The Science of Sleep, Be Kind, Rewind. I completely forgot he directed this movie. That doesn't sound like it's a good sign going forward, but I remember when I went to see the movie, I liked it. I didn't hate it overall. I just didn't think it was a great film overall. I bought the Blu-ray for it whenever it came back out on Blu-ray, because I do remember liking the film, but I'll be honest, when I went through my collections a couple times, I've never really had any real chance of, toy boat? I've never had any real intentions on watching the movie ever again, and I eventually got rid of it. So now it's been nearly 15 years since the movie came out. I've had a chance to watch it again. How do I feel about it now? Kind of about the same I did back then. It's not a bad movie. It's just a film that's just kind of there. There really is nothing about it that makes it unique or special in any way, shape, or form. And with people like Michel Gondry and Seth Rogen collaborating on this, you would expect so much more from that. I mean, the cast alone, a cast that also includes an Oscar winner from Glorious Bastards at the time, Christoph Waltz, Cameron Diaz, David Harbour. This was him pre-Stranger Things. Tom Wilkinson, Edward James Olmos. The cast is impeccably good in here, and that should be enough to carry the film. But sadly, the movie just it's just on autopilot pretty much. That's probably the best way to describe this movie. Autopilot. It's not bad. It's not great. It's just coasting along. It's like the equivalent of a roller coaster that doesn't have what's the word I want to use here? It's like a roller coaster that doesn't have an upward slope or doesn't have any loops or any turns or anything. It's just a straightforward ride, and then you're back at the station. That's all it is, really. I mean, it could be comfortable sometimes. It could be something where it's just like, I don't hate it, but it's not like I wasn't expecting much from it. But at the same time, it really doesn't feel like they're doing anything to elevate this to what this could potentially be. Seth Rogen, I think, is doing fine in here, but I really think he could do so much more with this. And he's proven time again since this that he can work with superhero material and make it work. We've seen what happened with him with Invincible. He's one of the producers on that. And I think he's also a producer on The Boys, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he did The Boys. He did Preacher. So, in the time since then, he has gotten better with superhero material. But with this, it really feels like there's nothing there to make this stand out or do anything that's spectacular or so unique or anything creative with it. It's just limping along, doing nothing. It's a safe and marketable movie is probably the best way to describe it. A very safe film. It gives the audience, it gives the fans of the original Green Hornet what they want to see. A show of that type in a modern setting. It updates it so that, modern audiences can get some kicks out of it. But it never does enough to elevate it to something really special. And honestly, where they put it out here, I can see why it's a January movie. I mean, it certainly isn't any better than, it can't be any worse than some of the bad January films. We're about to talk about another one just in a couple seconds here. But the 3D... I mean, I could do the post-production 3D hell thing, that type of thing, but it's not worth it. I mean, it's fine. There's nothing really as terrible as something like Clash of the Titans or Piranha 3D or not even Piranha 3D, but My Soul to Take. This one's just passable, and that's probably the best way to describe the movie. Passable. It's just kind of a film that's literally there. You watch it, you come out, if you wait a couple of days, and then you automatically forget about it. I mean, it's a movie where literally nothing of interest makes it something that you need to see. And a movie with Michel Gondry, a Seth Rogen superhero movie with a cast that includes an Academy Award winner Christoph Waltz as the villain, should not just be a safe and bland movie. It really should not. And sadly, that's what this movie is, unfortunately. So, yeah, it disappointed me to check this out again and see that my thoughts really have not changed on it per se. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just literally on autopilot. It's a film that's just coasting along, and then that's it. It doesn't really do anything that makes it stand out or anything. It just doesn't work. I mean, at least to me it doesn't. But I'll give it this, though. It certainly is a hell of a lot better than our last film that we have here, which this really takes the cake as the true prime example of a bad January release. A movie that features a way too talented cast, which includes Vince Vaughn, Kevin James, Jennifer Connelly, Winona Ryder, Channing Tatum, Queen Latifah. Half of those people have been nominated for Academy Awards, and one of them has won an Academy Award. And it's directed by an Academy Award-winning director, Ron Howard. So how could a movie like that fail? Well, here's the dilemma.
Nick, start your engine.
I love you guys.
We got a good meeting.
Come in here, don't ever let me go.
Join Vince Vaughn and Kevin James.
What if I take the liver? We're on the 5-yard line. We just gotta punch it in. 25. Nick, are you suggesting that we're not even in the red zone?
In a comedy
I just saw my best friend's wife with another man.
that doesn't pull any punches.
Those plants are poisonous.
You can expect diarrhea, painful swelling in your gums, and challenging urination.
On January 14th.
All I need to do is go tell Nick that his wife is cheating. I can talk to you for 1 second.
Am I not working here? Do I look like I'm working? I'm bleeding inside, just out of things.
Time isn't now, Ronnie.
When it comes to helping your best friend,
Are you gonna be shooting birds?
Yes,
What kind?
a faithful one.
if at first you don't succeed, try.
I like to make the jokes about honesty.
Try again.
Oh, God, I'm gonna shoot. I'm right here on your stupid little prison. Not if you're inside the house. I know, I Googled it. Come inside.
The dilemma.
You alright?
I feel a little challenged.
Rated PG-13.
Get it? Because he said earlier that he might have challenging urination. Oh my god, this movie. Let me tell you something. That trailer does not give you a clear indication of the hell that you're about to sit through. You want to know how bad this movie is? You see a little bit of Queen Latifah in there. What that commercial doesn't show you was what was in the trailer, and I don't know what the hell they were thinking when they decided to do this, but someone in their bright mind told Queen Latifah to act like a hey bro type of man in her performance, because this is what she acts like in the movie.
That motor in that car, when it started vibrating,
I'm sorry?
if I was sitting on the hood of that car and the way it was shaking,
Yeah, that happens in the movie, and it's one of those things where it's just like, if you want to do that, that's fine, but you gotta be smarter than that. You gotta be more clever than that. I don't know what the hell they were thinking about when they told her to do this, but my god, that performance, it's not in the movie for long, but when it comes on there, it's like cringe-worthy. She's just like, it's basically the equivalent of a hey bro, like that type of a person, except it's a woman this time around. And, Queen Latifah, it makes a performance like this makes you appreciate more stuff like Bringing Down the House, which, that came out around the time she was up for an Oscar for Chicago, and that movie was not the best received, but that's a much funnier performance than anything in this movie here. I mean, this whole movie is a disaster. A worse kind of, a terrible, terrible disaster. We haven't even gotten to the premise of this because, that's where the trouble really begins. You follow savvy businessman Ronnie, played by Vince Vaughn, and genius engineer Nick, played by Kevin James, who are best friends and partners in an auto design firm. They are pursuing a pilot to make their firm famous. Ronnie sees Nick's wife, Geneva, played by Winona Ryder, kissing another man, played by Channing Tatum. Ronnie seeks out answers and has to figure out how to tell Nick about what he saw while working with him to complete their critical presentation. Jennifer Connelly plays Vince Vaughn's girlfriend in this, and like I said, Queen Latifah is also in here as well. You see Clint Howard in there. It's a Ron Howard movie, so of course Clint Howard's going to be in there. And actually, Ron's father is also in here as well. So the basic premise of the movie is Vince Vaughn sees that his best friend's wife is cheating on him, and the whole movie is basically, should Vince Vaughn tell him what really happened? I mean, it's his best friend, but his wife is literally threatening you, which we'll get to that in a minute, because that's something where, that's a whole nother thing altogether. But the whole movie is literally just like that. The problem is, you're sitting in this for over 2 hours waiting for that moment when he's finally going to say it. But in actuality, This is something where the problem could easily be resolved in a matter of minutes. Seriously. That's what literally could happen here. Because like I said before, Vince Vaughn tells Winona Ryder that, hey, I saw you kissing another man. I'm going to go tell my best friend. Well, which, first of all, dumbass move there by literally telling the person that is accused, is that you literally saw doing that, telling her that so she can easily figure out a way to blackmail you, which, sure enough, she does exactly. There's this whole thing in this restaurant where, Winona Ryder tells Vince Vaughn that she's going to accuse Ronnie of hitting on her and tell Nick about a fling that they had back in college, which that's something that happens here. And you think that I had something in my mouth there for a second, sorry, but okay, so that happens. Okay, she's going to blackmail him by doing this, and then towards the end of the movie, when they have this intervention, Vince Vaughn just basically said, yeah, your wife's cheating on you, with him in there, and then guess what happens to this woman, to Winona Ryder's character, who thought that she was so confident and so in control of the whole situation with this. Guess what happens as soon as she lets it go? You ever see that episode of The Office where Angela kept trying to where Phyllis saw Angela and Dwight sleeping together in the office, and she knows their secret because Angela's getting engaged to Ed Helms' character. Who's that? I've watched The Office so many times I can't remember who it is. Andy Bernard, and she's engaged to Andy, and she knows that Phyllis knows the secret, and so she's using it basically to get Angela to be nicer to her. And then there's this breaking point where Angela's just like, yeah, I don't care what happens at this point because I'm going to insult you, and even though she knows your secret, like my secret and all, but at this point I don't care. And like there's literally a 10-second break between the time that she's finished and Phyllis going like, okay, and then she's just like, Angela and Dwight have been having sex in the office, and it's just like, your secret's been blown there. The way they do it there is funny. Imagine that, except this is literally a problem with it. This is literally resolved in a matter of seconds, where Winona Ryder's character was so into keeping the secret because she knows that she got Vince Vaughn, and then when Vince Vaughn spoils it, what's the first thing she says? What did you expect? So yeah, like I said, this whole thing could have easily been resolved in 5 minutes at the most. This is a 2-hour movie. This is a 2-hour movie of Vince Vaughn thinking about, oh, should I tell my best friend about this? Should I not? Oh, what's the bro code here? It's just like, dude, just tell him. Like, if there was something that was funny that was going to happen afterwards, I would say, yeah, keep it up, keep it going. But no, nothing happens at that point. Nothing happens from the moment he finds out to the point where she reveals it. It's literally nothing but filler, and really, really bad filler, including an incredibly long, dragged out scene where, Vince Vaughn's character is heading to is at a reception for his girlfriend's parents' 40th anniversary party, and so he basically decides to go ahead and do this long, drawn-out rant about being honest with yourself and telling the truth, while Kevin James and Winona Ryder are right there. They're doing this while everyone is at the table, all the family is there, and Vince Vaughn just keeps going on and on and on, just waiting for that moment for her to break, and it's just like, you're not being smart by doing this whatsoever. Just shut up already. And yeah, the movie wants you to root him on. No, you don't root a guy like this on. It's, when his best friends and his girlfriend are telling him, you need to settle down. You are right there with him, because no sane person would act like this whatsoever. But because we're in movie world and we need 2 hours to fill, that's what the thought of the scriptwriter is thinking. And guess who this wonderful scriptwriter is? Alan Loeb, the same man that gave us the greatness that was Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps, and will soon give us such memorable pieces of garbage like Just Go With It and Here Comes the Boom, which coincidentally also stars Kevin James, and Rock of Ages as well. You get the hint that this guy is not a good writer, do ya? I hope we give you the point that it is, because yeah, this is the third film we've covered from him so far. The best thing he's ever written was The Switch, and even that was not a great movie, but it was certainly much more and much better than this or Wall Street Money Never Sleeps. No question about it. This movie is a disaster. This is an unbelievable mess of a movie. This is a shitty comedy with no real problem that can be solved simply within a matter of minutes. We need to drag this shit out. We need to make you sit there for 2 hours, making you question your own life choices. The cast is completely wasted here. Queen Latifah is so insulting to watch as they make her like one of the boys, and it's just... This whole movie is a fucking mess. This is one of the worst comedies I have ever seen in my entire life. It took me a long time to get to this movie, and thankfully I was never going to go... I was hoping I'd go the rest of my life never watching it, but I was stupid enough. It was on Comedy Central one time. It's like, I'll give it a watch. How bad could it possibly be? It's that bad. It's really that bad. And, you know... And this is the tradition with January. We get one of these really terrible comedies, and if I had to choose between stuff like Bride Wars and New in Town and Meet the Spartans and Epic Movie and Leap Year, I don't think any of these would be that bad, but it's pretty damn close. I mean, this is up there with some of the worst comedies I've ever seen in my life. This is up there with bad stuff like Old Dogs, Aliens in the Attic. I mean, this thing is atrocious. This movie is a fucking insult, not just to the actors, it's an insult to the director, Ron Howard, who should know better. I mean, this guy has made a ton of great movies in his career, and he was just struggling around this time. I mean, this was unbelievably bad. I mean, this may be his worst thing he's ever directed, and that's saying a lot with him, because he has made some good stuff, but he's made some bad stuff too, but this is very much high up there with the worst things he's ever directed. Yeah, I think you can get the hint. This movie is absolutely terrible. I've literally spent 10 minutes talking about how terrible this movie is. Like, oh, and I haven't even gotten to the funniest controversy of this whole thing, because, yeah, this has a controversy that was so just as stupid as the movie itself. So Universal released a trailer for this, and the studio got complaints about the use of the word gay in Vince Vaughn's line in the trailer, saying, "Electric cars are gay. I mean, not homosexual gay, but my parents are chaperoning the dance gay." And so Universal went to the Gay and Lesbian Allegiance Against Defamation League about the line and indicated that the studio knew the line was problematic and actually received complaints when the trailer appeared online before in theaters, and the studio decided to work with a new trailer. And you know, the line ended up getting criticized by Anderson Cooper in a story about gay bullying on a show on CNN, and then they disputed each other's actions towards remedy. Gladden requested the trailer to be removed, and then the line to be removed from the film itself, and ultimately the studio released the trailer without the offending line, and then Universal basically decided and went to go to Ron Howard, who had final cut privilege on it, and Ron Howard basically said, "We're keeping it in there, fuck you," pretty much. And, you know, then Howard said he supported the removal of the line from advertising, but he justified his decision to keep it in the film, saying, "If storytellers, comedians, actors, and artists are strong-armed in making creative changes, it will endanger comedy as both entertainment and a provoker of thought." They did all this because of one line about electric cars being gay and not homosexual gay. Can you imagine how much bigger of a controversy this would have been if this happened in today's world? Like, this thing could have easily been so much worse. This thing would have been much more covered, and would have gotten to a point where, they would have probably said, "You're not putting the movie out until you get rid of that line," and Ron Howard probably wouldn't do it. But that's how hilariously bad this movie is, when not only is the movie bad, but even the controversies behind it are really fucking stupid. It's one line in particular, and it caused this whole controversy for no reason whatsoever. It's not even a good line, but it's just the fact that they made such a big deal out of this one line being in the movie, and that's what they did in the trailer. Not even the movie, the trailer. This one line in the trailer, and then they said, "No, we're going to cause a stir up with this." It's just like, this is more pathetic than the couples retreat controversy. And I get it, the couples retreat controversy was bad. Having Faison Love and Callie Hawk in the backgrounds or not even on the posters. But at the same time, like, there was at least a reasoning behind that. This is just pathetic. Just like the rest of the movie itself, it's pathetic. It's a stupid controversy for a stupid movie. Now we're going on 12 minutes of me talking about this, so I'm going to wrap this up here. Bottom line, the dilemma fucking sucks. Avoid this one like the plague.
Your holiday.
We are getting laid tonight. This is going to be like Sideways, except that you're Paul Giamatti, and I'm the guy that gets laid. I can't get laid?
10 years from now, you're going to be having sex with your wife, and one of you is going to be asleep.
I want to see other people.
I thought we were seeing other people. I've been seeing a lot of other people. We do this so one of us feels something more?
Well, it won't be me.
It won't be me.
Good luck with that.
No Strings Attached. Rated R. In theaters this Friday.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 3 new releases on January 21st, 2011. And we're starting off with our first movie here, Ivan Reitman's No Strings Attached, which we talked about some pretty bad movies to start the year off. We haven't had as many, some little gems here and there that we had in past years, but we haven't had any this particular year in so far. And needless to say, this is without a doubt the best new release of the entire month, and it's not even close. And it's actually a really good comedy, a comedy that probably could have done much better had it been released in another month besides January. But hey, we got it when we did, and it turned out to be a really damn good movie. You have Emma, played by Natalie Portman, and Adam, played by Ashton Kutcher, who are lifelong friends who have sex one morning and worry about their friendship being ruined. They make a pact to have no strings attached, to have casual sex without falling in love with each other, and of course, we all know what's going to happen by the end of this movie. They're going to eventually get together. It's that type of romantic comedy, but it's weird. I had just seen Natalie Portman deliver an Oscar-winning performance in Black Swan, and this is the type of movie where they're putting it out in January, they're putting it in the midst of awards season, and we saw what happened with Eddie Murphy a few years back. You know, he was up for Dreamgirls, he was considered to be the front runner for that, and then Norbit came out, and then, yeah, that immediately evaporated any possibility of him winning the Academy Award at that point. Even though I did really like Alan Arkin winning the Oscar for Little Miss Sunshine, but still, you can see what happens when an actor stars in a terrible movie and it completely ruins their chances of winning an Academy Award. Anne Hathaway was another example of that, with Bride Wars, coming out when she did Rachel Getting Married. Hugh Jackman will follow in the same fate a couple years from now with Les Miserables. A great performance where he should have won an Academy Award for that, but then someone decided, we're going to put out Movie 43 instead, and completely botched that person's chance of winning an Academy Award. I mean, that was pretty much it for Hugh Jackman at that point, but I was watching the movie, and I really ended up enjoying this movie. And it's a film that I enjoyed it back then. I still enjoy it now because it is one of those really good, fun romantic comedies that takes a concept that's been done to death before so many times, and it does something that is genuinely very appreciative. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of chances with it, but it's a comfortable film. Like, it's a film you watch and it's just like, this is comfort food for me. I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying the chemistry between Portman and Kutcher. I mean, they're really working off each other so well. You never doubt for a second that they're not giving it their all they got here. They're making it work. I mean, Ashton Kutcher, this is proof that he's not a bad actor overall. I mean, he's proven time and time again how good of an actor he can really be. And this would be a big year for him because, you know, not too long after this, he would be the guy that would eventually replace Charlie Sheen on 2.5 Men, which I'm not one of those people that likes the Charlie Sheen 2.5 Men more than most people do, but I mean, the Ashton Kutcher era, it really wasn't his fault that those last couple seasons were bad. It was just the fact that they put him in as the main character, but for some reason they tried to make John Cryer the lead guy on that show now, even though he was the brother on the supporting character whenever Charlie Sheen was there, and it just didn't make any sense. It's just like, well, if you're going to make John Cryer the lead, then why the hell do we have Ashton Kutcher in here in the first place? But I mean, those last seasons were not bad because of him. They were not bad because of him in particular. It was just the show itself. I mean, but that's a whole other thing altogether. But not only do you have these two, but you've got an amazing supporting cast here. You have Carrie Elways. You've got Mindy Kaling, you see in the trailer there. Greta Gerwig, this was one of her big movies that kind of broke her out into the big time before she eventually became the director that we know nowadays. Kevin Kline, could never go wrong with him. Ludacris, Olivia Thirlby from Juno, Lake Bell, you see Jake Johnson in there. I mean, this cast also includes people like Nassim Pedrad from Saturday Night Live, Ophelia Lovibon, Adil Kalian from Rules of Engagement, Abby boat. Abby Elliott from Saturday Night Live, and of course later on The Bear. Matthew Moy, who would later go on to star in Two Broke Girls. I mean, this was a really good cast, and they are working their best material on this movie. I mean, he really is. I mean, these people are really good in here. One of the biggest surprises to me was Ludacris, who, you know, a few months prior to this, we had Common and Just Right, who actually really showed that, hey, he's got acting chops. Ludacris in this movie I thought was really good, too. I thought he was actually one of the stronger people in the movie in particular, and I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed him in this. And yet 50 Cent still can't make a good leading performance in a movie. I mean, I don't know how hard it is to do that, but I guess it is. But it is very much a predictable romantic comedy. In a way, it's kind of reminiscent of something like a 500 Days of Summer, except for the fact that it's more mainstream in particular. It's not like an indie film like that movie was, which that started with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel, which coincidentally, I bring that up because guess who the writer of No Strings Attached was? Elizabeth Merriweather. These two would eventually come together, Zooey Deschanel and Elizabeth Merriweather, on a show that came out later in the year called New Girl, which turned out to be a really fun show, and Jake Johnson was on that show too. So, yeah, it's all coming together, like it's all coming full circle, if you will. And I like the fact that it didn't do what Due Date did. Due Date completely ripped off Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and made it nothing special and made it just feel like a poor attempt to make a raunchier Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and it failed miserably at it. This one manages to be funny with the material it's got, and it's not ripping off a bunch of other movies like Due Date did. I mean, and this is a good return to form for Ivan Reitman. I mean, here's the thing with Ivan Reitman. He's one of those great directors that I don't think gets as much attention as he does, but he did have a stretch between Dave and then up until this movie where most of the movies he was making were not great, especially the first two movies he made after Dave, which were terrible. Junior and also Father's Day. Those are some of the worst movies that came out those years. But then he did something like 6 Days, 7 Nights, which was okay, I guess. Evolution, which, if I'm being honest, is probably maybe his worst film as a director, because it was basically just a Men in Black ripoff of Ghostbusters. I mean, it was literally trying to be the next Men in Black, and that failed miserably. At least on my part, I think it did. But he did kind of return with My Super Ex-Girlfriend, which didn't get the proper respect back then, but that's actually a much funnier movie than I would have given it credit for. And I think he's back here in form here. This is actually the best thing I think he's done since Dave. And then he had one more movie as a director after this with Draft Day, which was actually a pretty good movie too, about how football teams work during the draft process. Like, it's a really good movie overall. This film I really enjoyed a lot. I think it has a very likable cast that works off each other very well. A really good supporting cast that delivers a lot of really good laughs in here. It's the best of the two Friends with Benefits movies, and because the second one, we'll get to that one later in the year, but you can just tell that definitely felt like it was ripping off this movie, and they just didn't know it at the time. But yeah, when you see this movie and then you see Friends with Benefits, I'm telling you, No Strings Attached is the far superior movie. It's the one I would go back to more. It's the one I think is much better. The chemistry in this one just works better. I like this one a lot. I really do. I think it's probably one of the best January released movies I've seen on this show in a long, long time. I mean, maybe since Cloverfield, honestly. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's that long, 3 years, but considering that we had stuff like Bride Wars and Meet the Spartans and New in Town and Paul Blart Mall Cop and Leap Year and just last week The Dilemma, this thing easily is one of the best movies to come out in the month of January in a long time for me. So, yeah, definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it. No Strings Attached. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is The Way Back. Yeah, most people probably forgot this movie even existed. I know I did. I didn't even know there was a film back in 2010 called The Way Back. I know we had The Way, Way Back in 2013, and as I mentioned at the beginning, there's the Ben Affleck basketball drama, which is actually very underrated. But, no, this is actually Peter Weir's last film that he directed. He did Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World, which was a great movie, and then this here This one doesn't get as much attention, but I think it actually is worth the watch. It's inspired by the 1956 memoir, The Long Walk, by prisoner of war I'm going to get this name wrong, Slawomir Rauritz. I probably butchered that name, but I apologize for that to the Rauritz family, but who claimed to have escaped from a Soviet gulag and walked 4,000 miles to freedom in World War II. You have a cast that includes Jim Sturgis, and I think one of his last movies where he was like the main lead. That was that time when, Across the Universe in 21 made him the big star, and then he didn't really do much since then. But you have Colin Farrell, you also have Ed Harris, and also Saoirse Ronan, who was nominated before for Atonement. I was checking just to make sure that he wasn't in another movie that Saoirse Ronan was in, Hannah, but no, that's Eric Bana that I was thinking of, but yeah, you got a good cast overall here, a good story in general, a really intriguing film, and this is the type of movie that probably would have been nominated for some Oscars. It did get an Oscar for Best Makeup nomination, but it ended up losing to The Wolfman, which, I mean, I don't know. The Wolfman, okay, the makeup work in The Wolfman wasn't bad. I mean, the CG in that film wasn't great either, but I was actually kind of surprised it actually got an Oscar for Best Makeup overall, because the makeup in general in here is good, but it's nothing really that spectacular, or at least to me, but I mean, it doesn't take away from the overall enjoyment of the film. I think this film really is very well done. It's a good story. It really keeps you... It's one of those great movies like this. It kind of reminds me a lot of The Straight Story, which is a movie about, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey that this guy takes. And, you have these people going on this long journey to get away from, to get to freedom. And it's a very intriguing watch overall. And Peter Weir does a very good job, keeping this essentially in check to make it so that the audience is not bored by it almost immediately. It's a film that I think definitely is a very well-done film, a very well-made film overall, and one I do recommend checking out. It's one you probably never even heard of, but I'll tell you, it's definitely worth a find if you could seek it out there, because this one I was actually kind of surprised I really enjoyed. Yeah, not much more to say about that one, but I recommend The Way Back. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, a movie that's not called The Way Back starring Ben Affleck, but he is in it. It's called The Company Men.
He's wrong.
I'll take an AK-47 to this place.
Don't get mad.
You too?
I would love to know why you fired me without any notice.
You cowardly witch.
Don't bother resigning my accounts. I'm gonna steal them back.
Get even in the film Entertainment Weekly is raving about.
We could make something here.
Start out with a crazy plan.
See if it'll grow. Ben Affleck, Chris Cooper, Kevin Costner, Tommy Lee Jones, The Company Men.
So basically, it's the more serious version of Horrible Bosses. I mean, it's literally almost the same plot as that movie is. You have the GTX Corporation that has to cut jobs to improve the company's balance sheets during the 2010 recession. Thousands of employees will take the hit, like Bobby Walker, played by Ben Affleck. Bobby learns the real-life consequences of not having a job. Not only does he see a change to his family lifestyle and the loss of his home, but also his feelings of self-worth. And you also have a cast that, as you can see, includes several Academy Award winners, including Kevin Costner, Chris Cooper, Tommy Lee Jones. You have Maria Bello in here, Rosemary DeWitt from Mad Men, Craig T. Nelson. A pretty solid cast overall here. This is John Wells. John Wells, of course, is the same man who who has been involved with a lot of TV shows, specifically ER, Third Watch, The West Wing, Southland, Shameless. Shameless was just coming on the air as this movie was coming out. And, this film really is one of those movies where it really does show what John Wells is capable of doing as a director as a whole. And this is a guy who's been on television for a long, long time. And he's made some movies that have been mixed overall. I mean, this was a good movie. August Osage County was pretty good. Burnt was kind of like a more serious version of Chef, but not really as good as it could have been. But this film overall is a very well done film. I think it is a very entertaining movie with these great actors really giving it their all here. It's kind of like a mix between both Horrible Bosses and Glengarry Glen Ross and Rain. Like, you could definitely tell that these two films kind of had an inspiration for this particular film in general. Plus, you've got the good writing and direction of Wells in particular that really makes it stand out on its own. It's a film that really is very underrated. It doesn't get as much attention I think most people give it, but it's one that I would say it's definitely worth checking out. I'm glad I found it. I thought actually I was kind of amazed at how much I enjoyed this one. So, The Company Men, overall, certainly the best week we've had compared to the last couple of weeks we've taken a look at films.
But Luke is famous. He's gonna rep Bowser Master Sleeping.
Early signs of a possession are subtle.
What's happening to me? The terror that's real.
If you don't defeat it, we kill it.
You don't want to be disturbed.
The Right starts January 28th.
Oh yeah, it's the dumping month, alright. Welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 4 new films of January 28th, 2011. And I say new in quotation marks, especially with our first movie, The Right, because you've seen this movie before. It's based on the story of The Right, the making of a modern exorcist, which itself is based on actual events, as witnessed and recounted by American then-exorcist-in-training Father Gary Thomas, as experiences of being sent to Rome to be trained and work daily with the veteran clergy of the practice. So yeah, pretty much you know exactly what this is all about. I mean, honestly, have you seen The Exorcist? Have you seen The Last Exorcist? Have you seen, The Last Exorcism? What was the other one? The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Have you seen all those other movies? You've pretty much seen The Right. Yeah, I know it's got Anthony Hopkins in here. And yes, Anthony Hopkins is a great person who can play evil. I mean, he played it well with Hannibal Lecter. But at the same time, this is not a great movie. Even with Hopkins doing the best he can to try to save it, it's just not worth it in the end. It's directed by Michael Hofstrom, who last did 1407, which was 1408, which was a really good movie. It was actually one of the better Stephen King adaptations. But with this, it feels like everybody really is just half-assing it here. There's no real sense of they want to do something unique and different with it. Somebody just looked at this and said, well, exorcism movies are the thing now, so let's just go ahead and do this. Who cares if people have seen it done before over and over again? Because we were really getting a ton of these movies that were just coming out of the woodworks, and there was just nothing different or unique that makes them stand out about it, except, oh, this one has Anthony Hopkins, this one's a found footage movie, this one is made by the company that did Paranormal Activity with The Devil Inside, which, yeah, that's another bad Exorcist movie coming out in January that we'll take a look at in 2012, but not much more to say about this one. If you've seen all those other Exorcist movies, you've seen this one, and you've seen better ones than this pile of garbage. Even with Anthony Hopkins doing the best he can to try to save it, it's not worth it in the end, so let's go ahead and move on to CBS Films' latest attempt to try to create something that doesn't feel like a television series. Here's The Mechanic.
How old are you?
We're coming for you. We do assignments. Some jobs need to look like accidents. Others need to send a clear message. The Mechanic, rated R, in theaters January 28th.
And it still feels like a procedural drama you would see on CBS. I would say TV series, but more like a TV pilot blown up for the big screen. But this is based off of a remake of the 1972 film of the same name, which starred did it star Donald Sutherland or Charles Bronson? Charles Bronson was in that one, because I see his name in the cast for this one. But it centers around Arthur Bishop, played by Jason Statham, who's a professional assassin or mechanic who specializes in making his hits look like accidents, suicides, and petty criminal acts. In addition to Statham, you've got Ben Foster, Tony Goldwyn, Donald Sutherland. It's directed by Simon West, and Simon West is the same director who would do, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, Con Air, The General's Daughter. On the one hand, it's better than his last movie, When a Stranger Calls, and to be perfectly honest, this isn't a bad movie per se, but it is still a CBS Films movie, which basically means that, it still feels like you're watching something that could have been a television pilot. Like this would have been something that would have been on CBS on the same night as CSI or something like that. But to its credit, it's better than some of the other CBS films we've taken a look at. Probably one of the better ones in general, and I think it's mostly because, one, you got a good director in Simon West. 2, you've got a really good actor in Jason Statham who can work very well with movies like this. And 3, the action sequences overall can be pretty cool. So, on the one hand, yeah, it is very much like many of the other CBS films here, but at least this one has some merit to it. This one at least is tolerable. This one's at least enjoyable in some way, shape, or form compared to some of the other movies that we've looked at from the studio in the last year, but it is what it is. I mean, if you go into it knowing what it is, a fun action movie, you're not going in there expecting anything smart or intelligent, you can definitely find a lot of value to it per se. So I guess on that front, that's why I give it a fair shot on that front there. So overall, mixed opinion, but leaning towards a positive on The Mechanic. I kind of feel about this movie the same way I kind of feel about something like The Beekeeper. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, this one isn't as silly or as ridiculous as The Beekeeper was, but it's fun for what it is. So take that for what you will with this film. So let's go ahead and move on to our comedy of the weekend, and that is From Prada to Nada.
Her father was in bankruptcy.
No more shopping. No high protein diet. Poor people only eat carbs. Where are we going? Some place called East LA.
On January 28th, you seem to have adapted well.
Survival skills. You clean up alright for a homeboy.
From Prada to Nada.
I'm really finding Mexican culture, like, intoxicating.
Rated PG-13. Starts January 28th.
I mean, it's not the worst, but it's not any better either. And if anything, it's probably one of Camilla Bell's better movies in general, because, yeah, there were a lot of movies she was in, and most of them were pretty bad. So this one's kind of the least bad, if you will. But the premise is kind of interesting, though. It's basically a Latino version of Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility, where you have two sports sisters, played by Belle and also Alexa Vega, who have been left penniless after their father's sudden death and are forced to move in with their estranged aunt in East Los Angeles. And like I said, it's not a bad movie, but it's the definition of a movie that was clearly dumped in the month of January. It's one of the better ones. It's no Codename The Cleaner. It's no Bride Wars. It's no The Dilemma. It's not New in Town. It's not anything on those levels of bad, but it's just a movie that comes and goes, and just like, you really don't feel like there's any real reason to go see this film in particular. There's nobody in here that really makes it stand out. There's nothing really about it that makes it stand out or anything, except for the fact that it's basically a different take on Sense and Sensibility. And on the one hand, that's fine, but you gotta have at least something to work with here with it. But I mean, it's got a decent cast. Nobody really spectacular in here. Wilmer Valderrama from That 70s Show, Nicholas D'Agosto from Fired Up, April Bowlby from 2.5 Men, Adriana Barzara from Babel. There's decent people in here, but again, it's one of those movies that comes and goes. You see it, it's not bad, but it's one of those things where you never want to watch it again afterwards, because there's just nothing of value to it whatsoever. And that's pretty much all you got to say about this one here. It's just not bad, just a movie that's instantly forgettable the moment that you finish watching it. So, can we finally turn the tide here with our last movie? Well, it's directed by Alejandro González Iñárritu, so I think we have a pretty good opportunity to do just that. Here's Javier Bardem in Beautiful.
González Iñárritu, director of Amores Perros, 21 Grams, and Babel, comes Beautiful, now nominated for 2 Academy Awards, including Best Actor Javier Bardem and Best Foreign Language Film, Beautiful, rated R, now playing.
Maybe not one of Iñárritu's best movies in general, and certainly a misfire compared to 21 Grams or Babel, but it's certainly a lot better than some of the other movies we've looked at this week, or pretty much most of the movies we've seen in January. But you follow Javier Bardem, who's a criminal and father who's diagnosed with prostate cancer and seeks to settle his affairs and responsibilities before he dies. It's in reference to the phonetic spelling in Spanish of the word beautiful. And like I said, it's not one of Alejandro González Iñárritu's better movies in general, but you still feel the effort is being put in there. And considering what else we've looked at here, this thing easily knocks it out of the park compared to other movies like this. Javier Bardem gives another really good performance in here. I think this was actually... I thought this was his first performance since No Country for Old Men, but no, it was Vicky Cristina Barcelona he did before that, and I think that's it. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think I am. Let me just double check here just to make sure. I think that's what it is. Or, let's see, where is it? Acting credits. Or he was in Eat, Pray, Love too, but then again, that movie is so forgettable and so bad. Just you can forget that he was in that movie pretty much, but. Overall, this is a movie where it works because he's giving it his all. You see why he won the Oscar several years ago. It's a very different performance from No Country for Old Men. It's a different performance from Vicky Cristina Barcelona, and he really does carry the film overall. It's a good movie. Like I said, not one of the best movies by this director. He's made so many other better movies, and ones that will come after this, certainly, with Birdman, and then The Revenant, and what was the last one he did? No, I don't think he did anything. He did one movie called Bardo, False Chronicles of a Handful of Trip, which I do not remember whatsoever, but at least it's going to get better for him after this with Birdman and The Revenant, where he'll win those Academy Awards. But other than that, though, this movie's pretty much not... It's not a great movie, but it's fine for what it is. It's Alejandro González Iñárritu. The guy will not usually half-ass a film in general, so take that for what you will. And definitely the better movie of the entire week, I can tell you that much. That is Beautiful. Alright, so the month of January is over. That means we're finally getting into February, and that's Super Bowl weekend, and crap.